Hello, it's good to see you. Today we are here to read something that you may not have ever seen, or it might be something that you haven't seen in a long time. This is something I had to order on eBay because they don't make this anymore. They no longer publish this. And I'm going to show you. It is a back issue of a pretty silly little magazine. And it came with this protective cover to help keep it straight. And fortunately, it did not get bent, so it was really good. Some of you may recognize this if you live in the USA. It is the Weekly World News. And it came in cellophane, look at that. I'll tell you, when I was a kid, when I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, well, I had chores even when I was much younger than that. But when I was about 9 or 10, I would save part of my allowance every Saturday. And I would go with my mom to the grocery store and I would buy, don't laugh, I would buy a bag of marshmallows, a 2-liter RC Cola, and a Weekly World News. And that would take care of my Saturday afternoon. That's what I would do. I would go home with my 2-liter of RC Cola and my bag of marshmallows, and I would drink my drink and eat my marshmallows and read the Weekly World News every Saturday. I loved it. I mean, I knew it wasn't real. I know it's all, it's all made up. I didn't care. I loved to read it. I liked to read as a kid anyway, but this was just pure entertainment because you have stories like this. You have stories about Area 51. A psychic pig is President Bush's newest advisor. This issue is from November 13th, 2006. And it has $2.99 on here, but I wasn't buying them in 2006. I was buying them back in the mid to late 80s. And they were much cheaper then. I think they were only about 89 cents or so. And it didn't take up a lot of my allowance. But I would do chores all week. And then I would get paid on Saturday. And I would go with my mom to the store and spend part of my money on this and the marshmallows and the drink. We even have tomorrow's news today. A reporter from the future gives winning lottery numbers for March 14th, 2012. I should look these up and see if they actually happened. Anyway, let's turn it over. So it's in this plastic and it's taped. I just thought of these the other day. Driving to work, I don't know what made me think of them. But I thought, you know what? They might like to see one of these. But that's when I found out they are no longer in publication, like print. They even have stuff on the back. Inside this issue, we have Pharaoh's Wheel, Boy King Falls Head Over Heels, Wacky Warning Labels, Horse Sense by Lester the Typing Horse. Once a sideshow attraction, he's now the nation's leading wellness expert. And then down here we have the secret writings of Jesus found on ancient parchments rock. And much, much more. Doubters beware. Telephone psychic knows you are making fun of her. It's like an issue of the Onion. It's like you're reading an article from the Onion or something. So you get this little paper and it's stapled here and here. And it's just folded. So here we have George Bush cuddling with his pig. Prognosticating porker predicts incoming North Korean nukes. Oops. Let's see. I have to read this. Okay. Washington, D.C. President's new military advisor is a psychic pig. I actually wouldn't doubt that. I was waiting outside the Oval Office when I heard squeals from inside, White House insider CR told Weekly World News. It wasn't the kind of laughter one would have heard during the Clinton administration, but actual squeals. I decided to have a look. As I entered, the president was on his hands and knees petting a pig, CR went on. Looking on was General Theodore Marley Brooks, who explained that the pig was the CIA's newest recruit. Sounds like a movie plot. His name is Ham, and he's a psychic, General Brooks explained. He was part of a research project to engineer pig stem cells as a substitute for human stem cells. Instead, what the scientists created was a pig who could foretell the future. The prophetic pig not only foresaw sports results days in advance, but also the precise number of North Korean nukes and when they would be launched. Whenever Ham gets a glazed look, that means his ESP, extrasensory pork, has kicked in, General Brooks went on. Not only can he see the future, he's telepathic. He was immediately turned over to the War Department. Needless to say, we can use this swine to catch swine. After Ham was presented to the president, Bush put the prophetic porker to the test, CR said. He asked, "Who will be the next person to call on the phone?" Suddenly, an icon of the pig and the letters LB appeared into our minds. Within seconds, Laura Bush was on the phone. The president stared open-mouthed at the War D hog. CR continued. In the days that followed, Ham and the president became inseparable. Through Ham's telepathy, the president finally discovered what folks really think about him. Oh my goodness, that must have been awkward. He's going to be real mad when he gets to me, laughed CR. Weekly World News will continue to follow this amazing story. Well, they probably didn't, because I don't think they published many issues after this. Maybe Bush shot him down. Maybe the pig told him to do it. Here we have the circle of life. They look like manhole covers. Dallas, Texas. Who knew that for years we've literally been sowing the seeds of disaster, urban planner Jimmy Buck recently told Weekly World News. Buck was referring to the fact that during his 30-year career, he had been putting manhole covers in the streets of downtown Dallas. Who knew that among these were also woman-hole covers, he lamented. Where there used to be one, now there are two. These things are actually coming together like they were married. That explains all the manhole covers on Wendover and Greensboro and Elm Street. There are manhole covers everywhere. They have manhole covers and woman-hole covers. And if the person holes use their underground conduits to reproduce, that's just a whole nother problem, Buck acknowledged. Actually, that makes sense. Okay. Oh my goodness, an autopilot performs a daring air rescue. The world's only reliable newspaper. Exclusive breaking stories, brand new video reports of the weird and bizarre, and latest Bat Boy sightings. Also, they have a website, www.weeklyworldnews.com. Okay, well, I guess maybe they're just online now. A champagne toast sinks a tug. This is in Port au Choix, Newfoundland. Hundreds of luxury cruise line passengers looked on in horror as the tugboat SS Fortune helplessly sank into the Atlantic. By the time rescue vessels arrived, there was only one survivor from the crew of 5, Ted Jackson, who told how it happened. The captain wanted to celebrate his boat's 1,000th trip, so he purchased 5 magnums of champagne and passed them to us crew members for a champagne toast, Jackson said. He requested that we open them all at the same time. When we did, a powerful stream shot out from each, and the boat started sinking. How do they come up with it? Naval accident expert Ken Emery explained, "For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When the bubbly was released, the reverse force propelled the boat downward." Jackson remembered the captain's final words. He said, "I'd like to make a toast." Sadly, 5 minutes later, he was toast. I think there was probably a lot of pot smoking involved with these article writings. Back to the furniture. What? They have the worst Photoshop in these pictures. Who says it's better late than never? This takes place in Cincinnati, Ohio. A Cincinnati resident was astonished recently when a truckload of bedroom furniture was delivered to her COD. "We ordered it in 1941, right before the war," said Mrs. Jerry Lutzendog. "I'd forgotten all about it." How do you order a truckload of furniture and forget about it? But Paul Johansson, the owner of the small store where Mr. and Mrs. Lutzendog bought the furniture, hadn't forgotten. Now 80 years old, he was getting ready to sell his store when he came across the Lutzendog's warehoused order for 2 single beds, a dresser, and 2 night tables in blonde oak with brass handles. The Lutzendogs had made a $50 down payment on the furniture, but Johansson was drafted before it could be delivered. The furniture had been crated in his warehouse ever since. "My wife piled all kinds of junk in front of it while I was away," he said. "By 1945, I'd forgotten it was there." Johansson was delighted to find that the Lutzendogs were still living at the same address. His plan was to surprise the couple and only charge another $50 for the shipment, what they would have paid for the furniture in 1941 prices. While Mrs. Lutzendog appreciated Mr. Johansson's initiative and the gesture, she no longer wanted the order. "My husband died last year, and I'm about to move into an assisted living home," she said. "I have no need for all that." For his part, Johansson was delighted to take it all back. "Blonde oak furniture is now popular again," he said. "I can sell this for at least $5,000. How many antiques do you find that have never been used?" Okay then. Well, so if she didn't want it, why are they unloading it? Okay, this should be good. Headlines from tomorrow. After opening a popular Chinese restaurant in Manhattan, Chuck Lee discovered that eating large amounts of hot mustard enabled him to foretell the future. Chuck has consented to share his remarkable predictions in a weekly column. All right, here we go. We have stuff that comes up to 2015. Okay. All right, 2007 in Hartford, Connecticut. To combat unwanted advances toward women at bars and parties, a company named Forearmed is Forewarned offers computerized bracelets that identify likely stalkers by analyzing their pheromones, lateral eye movement patterns, forward vision trajectory, eyes versus chest, sneer factor, and other key markers. Once such an individual is detected, a wireless transmitter signals the local civil court and downloads a pre-straining order. I want one of these. I need this. Then you can get a pre-straining order. What if they're just really nervous? They might be considered a stalker. All right, 2008, also in Hartford, Connecticut. As a result of the pre-straining orders, the human population drops dramatically since fewer men are able to approach women and women are no longer settling on a partner. Oh, unintended consequences. All right, in 2009 in Boston, Massachusetts, because of the overwhelming number of charities, artists are running out of causes. After a brief Florida-wide citrus blight, musicians get together for the Lemonade. The contrived philanthropy is poorly attended and appropriately leaves a sour taste in the artists' mouths. 2010 in New York City. To ensure the purity of drinking water, caffeine is added to reservoirs since the alkaloids in the compound are discovered to kill many kinds of bacteria and neutralize toxic acids. Also in New York City in 2010, here's the consequence. Caffeinated water causes a rise in the excitability of users. Authorities urge these individuals to take up physical activities like dancing to compensate. After all, they say it is tap water. All right, 2011 in New York City. A study shows that people who turn to bottled water to avoid caffeine are just as antsy. Scientists warn against overindulging in spring water. 2012 in Providence, Rhode Island. 3 generations of birth control and sexual liberation has started to affect males at a genetic level. Their sons begin going through puberty at an average age of 8 years old. Well, they do say the age of puberty is dropping in kids. 2013 in Manhattan. Due to an earlier awareness of the opposite sex, young boys develop a condition that causes their eyes to look down instead of ahead. Optometrists work hard to cure this rash of rear-sightedness. Well, young people today do look down more, but that's because they always have their phone in their hand. See, he didn't predict that. He should have predicted that. 2014 in Chicago, Illinois. Now remember, these were all in 2006. Cemetery plots become far more expensive as mortuaries run out of space. As an alternative, families are permitted to use their deceased loved ones as planters, organic receptacles of new life. You know, you can actually do that now in some places. I think it's a pretty cool idea. I wouldn't put them in a planter, but there are some places where you can actually put them down in the ground, like with a tree. And yeah, I don't think it's everywhere, but some places you can do that. I would do that. 2015 in Chicago. Parents no longer use names like Rose, Ivy, and Petunia to avoid confusing living family members with those who are on the patio. That's morose. All right, 2077. So we have a huge jump. This is going to be in Chicago, Illinois. Family trees take on a whole new meaning as genetic material begins to imprint itself on foliage grown from cadavers. Ooh, that'd be an interesting little movie to make. What in the world? I don't think so. Studio 51. Oh, it's a nightclub. A top secret ET nightclub was best investment military ever made. So they built a nightclub for aliens? If you get them drunk enough, they'll tell you what you want to know. This is in Lincoln County, Nevada. The 60 square mile region in southern Nevada, known as Area 51, has been a subject of speculation and fascination for more than 50 years. It is there, in this remote and barren region, that military scientists have kept and studied extraterrestrials who have landed on our world by accident or design. Since being the first newspaper to take readers inside the secret facility, and that was the Weekly World News, December 26th, 2005, we've discovered that there is more to Area 51 than we ever imagined. Forcibly detaining, studying, and interviewing advanced extraterrestrials has yielded little information, said General Nathan Stewart. They are very tight-lipped about their technology, and I mean that figuratively, since most of them don't have lips at all. As a result, we decided it was time we court these visitors properly, fostering goodwill and making them feel welcome. That's why we built Studio 51. Here's a dude, I guess, looking in there. Let's see, this continues on page 14. Studio 51 is a 20,000 square foot dance club. And here's one of the bunkers, but I guess this is what it looks like inside. But it's in there. This club was designed to show aliens a good time during their extended open-ended stay in Area 51. 30-year-old exobiologist Dr. Malcolm Harris called upon years of club-going in San Francisco to make Studio 51 irresistible. It has 3 levels of kickback extraterrestrial entertainment, he said, all of which offer great food, a comfortable atmosphere, and alien music that is out of this world, collected from decades of deep space radio astronomy. The science team has equipped Studio 51 with everything an alien could want, especially one who's been in space for years. Dr. Harris is particularly proud of Studio 51's glittering disco ball, which greets the extraterrestrials upon arrival. You see it there. It's 100 feet in diameter and has sparkling satellite balls orbiting it, said Dr. Harris. It instantly puts the aliens at ease, making them feel at home, and also distracting them while my team moves among them, mingling and pumping them for secrets. Those secrets come easily once the entertainment begins. It doesn't take more than a little alcohol mixed with liquid oxygen, plus a few pretty alien ladies. How do they know which ones are pretty? To turn even our most resistant and bellicose guests into putty, said Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris has a thesaurus. And I mean that literally in the case of the Odoites, who turn to ooze when their thought patterns are corrupted. I know some people like that. Aliens love tap dances, especially those of our guests with lap dances. Especially those of our guests with 2 laps, Dr. Harris revealed. They're also big on antenna massages and wet endosperm pod contests. When we ourselves aren't certain of the sex of an alien visitor, we call on the multitasking consorts from the androgynous galaxy. We also have a mirrored room for asexual ETs. Open mic karaoke night is popular, though General Stewart admitted he's had to curtail these events. Some of the aliens let out high-note sonic booms, he said. You can only tell the public so many times that we're testing new aircraft at night. Bingo is also a big draw, though some aliens have had a difficult time adjusting to a game that only involves positive integers and not exponents. Poker and 21 are out, since many aliens have telepathy or X-ray vision, Dr. Harris added. However, the biggest problem, the scientists admitted, is that he often has trouble deciphering the information he obtains. If you think understanding your best friend's drunken speech is tough, you ought to try following an inebriated Martian, Dr. Harris said. It's going to take years to sort it all out. And unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, karaoke had to be shut down. That's a shame. Oh, here's a sad headline. A surprise party death rate is at an all-time high. I really hate to hear that. This poor dude. It was his surprise party. Now he's dead. At least he took his glasses off first before his head fell over. That was smart. U.S. Medical Birthday Council issues preventative guidelines to stem death toll. This is in Baltimore, Maryland. To quell a recent surge in party mortality, the U.S. Medical Birthday Council has released urgent guidelines for safe surprising. Hugs given after the surprise should be firm and rhythmic to support heart action and prevent cardiac arrest, said Council Chairman Lance Champion, MD, PhD. If a loved one is stricken, we urge cardiac catheterization throughout the festivities, Dr. Champion added. During this procedure, doctors penetrate the femoral artery and clear any blockages with a tiny balloon. Some patients request an animal shape, and most surgeons are more than happy to oblige, Dr. Champion said. If the shock is extreme, the council also recommended keeping candles from the birthday boy's oxygen tubes and stripping stimulants like caffeine and chocolate from the menu. And it might be a good idea to throw your next party right at the hospital, Dr. Champion said. Show your loved one that you intensively care. I hate that they don't publish this anymore. I want a job writing these. Weekly World Humor. This magazine has changed a bit since I used to read it. It was back in the mid-'80s the last time I looked at it. Weekly World Humor. I'm not sure that we want to read that. I just have a weird feeling that maybe we shouldn't read that. Let's see. There's Nicolas Cage in the Weekly World News. I wonder if he knows that. Along with pictures of Bigfoot's prints. You could even get a free Bat Boy t-shirt. How much was it to subscribe? Oh, you could get 52-inch issues for only 89 cents an issue. That's how much I used to pay for it. Oh, this one has cartoons. I don't think it had cartoons when I was reading it. Mom is going to boycott my wedding. Weird picture search. Oh. Doubters beware. Here's a word search. Out of this word search, and we have some of the common words from the Weekly World News, like airline, archaeologist, bachelor, baggage school, bat boy, birth, consonants, fetching, French, giant, mushroom, gymnast, human ranch, hurricane, infant, Jesus, pearl, pineapple, Pluto, sighted, skydiving, stigmata, subway, suitcase, teacher, tortilla, vowels, wing seating, witless, and wristwatch. We should come back and do that sometime. Doubters beware. Telephone psychic knows you're making fun of her. This is in Los Angeles. Thousands privately doubt her psychic abilities. And I'm sick of sensing that, said the renowned psychic Madame Claire, speaking on her call-in show last Thursday. In response to the widespread contempt, Claire has changed the format of her program. She now answers viewers, none of whom have physically written or called into her studio. Stockbroker Gordon Dannett of 3029 North End, I could mention a couple of fake predictions you made to clients, she said during Friday's broadcast, so don't you be making fun of me. When caller Arnett Luss complained inwardly about researching a mere psychic associate, Claire responded immediately on the air. I don't have time to get it on with everybody, which is more than Miss Luss can say. She's lucky her husband isn't clairvoyant, the psychic added. Enraged viewers have undertaken a class action suit to bring down the show. Must have worked because I've never heard of her. But if she's psychic, wouldn't she know that was coming? We're demanding that she keep our thoughts to herself, said one man, who declined to give his name. Don't worry, she knows who you are. Oh Lord, we have a Bigfoot crossword. Goodness gracious. A robo-hooker. I don't know if I should, some of these, I don't know if I should read these or not. Okay. Oh, what is that? It's a goose or something. Oh, it's a quiz. You can take a quiz to see if you know about these past stories. And you can also stop paying too much for your smokes. Look at that. Boy, that is cheap. Somehow I kind of doubt you can still do this. Oh, here's Bat Boy. Bat Boy was a common dude in the Weekly World News. He was in there a lot. Guess who's coming to dinner? This is in Queens, New York. A local family hosted an uninvited guest at their late summer cookout, none other than the elusive Bad Boy. He just showed up, said Dad Bob Vertibergesa. I was grilling some wieners and I looked up and there was Bat Boy, just like I saw reported in your fine publication. He was squatting. This person is from Queens. I don't think they talk like this. He was squatting on the fence and sucking down the dead insects from my bug zapper. That sounds like stuff that would happen to Lynette. I was actually insulted, said his wife in disgust. I made all this perfectly good food, including homemade slaw and potato salad, and he was eating dead bugs. Queens residents aren't the only ones to experience similar encounters with Bat Boy. He climbed into the front seat, grabbed the keys from the ignition, and ate 'em, said exterminator Richard Puller. Richard Puller, interesting name. I lost a whole day of spraying, plus my keys. Bat Boy has realized that insecticides threaten his food supply, said entomologist Dr. Thomas Stanton. He has figured out how human cities work and how they can be made not to work. He has gone from being a curiosity to being a danger. Oh dear, here he is holding the bug zapper and he's eating it, I guess, chewing the bugs off the bug zapper. Oh, here we have horse sense from Lester the Typing Horse. Once a sideshow attraction, he's now the nation's leading wellness expert. And he has a stethoscope around his neck, although how he gets it up to his ears, I'm not sure. How does he hold the end of it? Okay, here we have some questions for Lester the Typing Horse. Dear Mr. Horse, what is saw palmetto and why is it supposedly good for prostate care? That's from Raymond Short of Salt Lake City, Utah. Dear Raymond, it's a small flowering plant which provides a fruit used to treat urinary problems. Native Americans used to use it as a sedative and nutritive tonic. More recently, tests were conducted indicating saw palmetto's effect on male pattern baldness. However, slight side effects of taking it include nausea, reduced libido, and erectile dysfunction. In addition, one of saw palmetto's main ingredients, beta-sitosterol, which is similar to cholesterol, has been connected to increased chances of heart attacks to men who have had them before. Like any additive, my feeling is stick to what comes naturally in food and you'll be as fine as can be. Insulin information. Dear Mr. Horse, what does insulin do in our bodies? That's from Allison Prim in Detroit, Michigan. Dear Allison, one of the main jobs of insulin is to move fat into the fat cells, saving it for times when no food is available. Another important task for insulin is to let sugar into the body's cells for energy. When the production of insulin is disrupted, the fat and sugar have trouble performing their necessary functions and a person becomes diabetic. I recommend eating a low-fat, plant-based diet to lessen your chances of becoming diabetic. Need proof? I know of no diabetic horses, and we eat what we were designed to. He wouldn't like my diet. It's keto. He probably wouldn't like that. Pressure problem. Dear Mr. Horse, why is high blood pressure bad? Isn't it good if the blood is moving faster? This is from Will Durkins in Louisville, Kentucky. Dear Will, you misunderstand the term. Blood pressure refers to the pressure exerted on the blood vessel walls. High blood pressure contributes to unhealthy accumulation of white blood cells within the artery walls, which is called atheroma. I may be pronouncing that wrong. This clogging causes the heart to work harder to pump blood. The extra work makes the heart thicken, grow larger, and eventually weaken. Since blood pressure rises in response to clogged blood vessels, the key to avoiding it is to keep your circulatory system clean. I hate to repeat myself, but regular readers know just what to do to keep that from happening. Hint, see previous answer. just wonder how long it took the horse to type all this. Like, how long does it take him to do that? And down here we have monkey business. Astute accounting advice from Sammy the chatting chimp. After leaving the circus to make a better life for himself, Sammy the chatting chimp started his own exotic pet business and made a fortune. Now he wants to share the many facts and secrets he's learned. Ooh. First home of the moneylenders. Dear Mr. Chimp, what were the very first banks? That's from Cindy Garland in Providence, Rhode Island. Dear Cindy, for me, it was a lovely riverbank near the jungle. Seriously, it's believed that the first banks were inside religious temples in the ancient world, where portable plates of gold were stored. Because these temples were well built to honor the gods and constantly watched by priests and deities, owners felt confident that their money was safe. We actually have records of loans made by temple priests to merchants in the 18th century BC Babylon. There's also evidence of credit being extended in ancient Greece. To save a merchant the trouble of transporting coins, moneylenders in one city would write a note for the client to cash in another city, perhaps the first checks. The ancient Romans created regulations for these monetary establishments, including the concept of interest. I'll trade you. Dear Mr. Chimp, what do you think of the barter system? And that's from Alex South in Cleveland, Ohio. Dear Alex, in the jungle, I often observe tribes exchanging food for clothing, clothing for weapons, and weapons for food. In larger societies, however, barter is too cumbersome and inefficient. For example, no family could possess enough goods to offer a real estate agent in exchange for a house. And the amount of time spent evaluating goods for these transactions would also be enormous. When compared to barter, money is not such a root of all evil, is it? It's a marvelous convenience. And that is all from Sammy the Chatting Chimp in this episode, or this, it's like an episode of something, some issue. The best advice this side of the jungle. You know what? You can even post a personal ad. You totally can. Look, Tony and Cleo's love links. We have women and men, about the same number of each. And I guess they have like the state they live in, and then there's a number after that. I don't know that we should read these. Oh, the secret writings of Jesus found. Wacky warning labels. With all the absurd lawsuits being filed these days, it's no wonder companies would rather be overly safe than sorry when it comes to warning labels. But these are just flat out ridiculous. Okay, so first we have these fencers here. Warning, for entertainment purposes only. Do not attempt to swallow an assailant's sword during combat. Here's another one. Note, caution. Note to performers. Bow after removing sword from esophagus. Here's one. Caution. Cutlass swallowing should be restricted to performers with scoliosis. For real? That's just mean. Danger. Sword swallowing is serious business. Beware sword snarfing. What does this say? Excess U.S. RDA. Oh, excess U.S. RDA recommended daily allowance for iron. Well, I won't eat it then. I wish I could still subscribe to this. This is hilarious. Wedding photographer. A weekly look at professionals who made amateurs look good. He photographed the cake cutting ceremony and cropped out the cake. He took more photos of bridesmaids he thought were hot than the bride and groom. Well, you know. This was in Hartford, Connecticut. Despite the beautiful ceremony, Martin and Susan Winter's wedding was ultimately ruined because of one Peter Wingle, who proved that he's the world's worst wedding photographer.
My brother recommended him from college, said Susan. They had worked together at the college paper. I was so overwhelmed with wedding details that I didn't bother to ask Brian what Mr. Wingle shot. The answer, had she inquired? Frat parties. The winter's excitement turned to dismay when they received Wingle's proofs. The quality of the pictures was appalling. They were out of focus, over and underexposed, and off-center, said Susan. And the ones that were technically competent were heartbreaking. For instance, during our wedding vows, the photographer seemed more interested in shooting my maid of honor and less focused on capturing the moment when Martin and I agreed to be joined for the rest of our lives. Who wanted to see the backs of the bride and groom? Asked Wingle. I thought the other chick's reaction would be cool, plus she was hot. When the newlyweds were dancing to their favorite song, How High the Moon, Wingle answered the question, How low the floor? He only took close-ups of our feet, complained Susan, as if we cared about our footwork. Hey, it was a dance, Wingle reminded us. However, the last few photos nearly ended the couple's relationship. Toward the end of the wedding, I saw the husband flirting with that scorching bridesmaid, said Wingle. I got tight shots of his hands touching her shoulder and one of him actually kissing her. I thought I was doing the wife a favor by exposing that bum. I was kissing her on the cheek, said Martin, but from where he was standing, it made me look like I was kissing her mouth. The couple returned the photos to Wingle without paying him. Oh, they'll pay, said Wingle. I snapped some shots of Susan getting dressed. If she doesn't pay for those, someone will. Wow. Oh, they even have your star guide here for that week. And here we have the world's weirdest fortune cookies. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. It's not weird. Live each day as if it were the last day of your life, because so far it is. You were only young once, but you can be immature your whole life. A friend is someone who knows all about you and still likes you. Love is a fire. You never know whether it's going to warm your heart or burn down your house. Uh-huh. What in the world? Dear editor, just a suggestion, because it's a shame that it's going to take years for that shrunken rancher Scott to grow back to normal. And this is from Man Shrieks from Danger from October 2006. Since he gets smaller when he gets excited, perhaps he'd get bigger again if he was depressed. Glum me up, Scotty. Here's one. Dear editor, too bad I wasn't in downtown New York when it flooded with bubbles. Don't cry, foamy New York City. That's also from October 2006. Seeing these pictures of what used to be my playground, covered like a virgin in white foam, made me smile. All that was missing from the foam spectacle was a big ray of light shining down or some heavy rain. But probably I'd have gotten a fever if I was there. I guess. So that's just a little look through this silly little publication. It's nothing serious. It's not anything hard-hitting or anything. I just kind of like, when I was a kid, I liked to read through here. Now, I read through it back in the mid-'80s, and they had these crazy stories in here. And it was just a nice little escape from everyday life to read these. So anyway, I just thought I would grab an issue and share it with you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day.